All right, we got lots to talk about today. We want to talk about a bunch of mistakes that retirees are taking, and guess what? They can fix a lot of those mistakes when it comes to Social Security, so we're going to get into that today. Also have a fraud alert that the Office of the Inspector General sent out. We want to make sure you protect yourself, your family, your friends. I've got some video questions. One of the live Q&A questions already is Nancy asks, I sent a comment recently about not realizing that I should have submitted for my spousal benefits as well as my own taking early retirement. So there's a mistake right there for early retirement, for receiving benefits. So let's go through the list here, and let me answer Nancy's to begin with, since she asked that question. All right, so good news is when you file for benefits on your own record, so yeah, it looks like you said you're 62 years old, you filed for benefits on your own record. The policy, the law is, it's called deemed filing. So if you applied for benefits on your own record and you were eligible for other benefits on anybody else's record, you were supposed to file for benefits on that record. So if it's a current spouse's record that they are receiving Social Security benefits, then you had to file for benefits on that record at that time. If it's divorced spouse benefit that they were receiving benefits, then you have to, even if it's independently entitled divorced spouse benefits, that means even if they weren't receiving benefits, if they were at least 62. So the deemed filing thing fixes your problem. It's no problem whatsoever. You just contact Social Security Administration and say, hey, I filed for early retirement. The deemed filing rule, as soon as you say that, the people at the front windows that answer the phones probably won't know what you're saying. But once you talk to a Title II CS, which is a claim specialist, which I was before I became a manager, they'll know, oh, okay, deemed filing. Yeah, you should have filed for other benefits you were eligible for when you were 62, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, last year, whatever the case may be. And so they will give you that retroactive back pay. Obviously, anytime you take benefits from Social Security, it is reduced. So you're going to get a reduced benefit, but you'll get it as if you applied during that time. So even if you forgot, no big deal, they'll fix it for you. So just contact Social Security and say, hey, I want to file for spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, whatever the case may be, and apply the deemed filing rule, and they'll take you back. Okay, so let's get into the list. I already kind of skipped to number 5 there a little bit, but figured that needed to be answered. Okay, earnings record. Here's what a lot of new retirees do, and they should be doing this throughout their life, is checking their earnings record, what Social Security has in terms of how much you paid into Social Security all of those decades, because Social Security doesn't look at your last year of earnings to determine how much you're going to make. They don't look at your last 5 years or 10 years. They look at your high 35 years of earnings, and they index that for kind of a wage index. So if you're saying, oh, I only made $20,000 when I was 20 years old, scooping ice cream or something, that's worth like $100,000 today. So that might be one of your high 35 years of earnings. So don't discount those early years. So if you find a discrepancy, if you've already filed and you say, oh, I never really checked. A lot of people, because they're filing online now, they don't get the opportunity to check, or they forget to check and it falls through the cracks. And for the rest of your life, you're not getting the benefits you paid for. So check. And if you find a mistake, even if you've been receiving benefits for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, if you find a mistake and you're able to fix it, they will go back and fix it. If you've been receiving benefits for 10 years and you find earnings for 15 years ago that will increase your benefits by $5 a month or $10 a month, they will go back and pay you that retroactive benefits for the past 10 years. So you get a nice one-time lump sum check, which is a beautiful thing. We'd never mind that, right? Okay, so fix that. Go into SSA.gov, set up an account, check your earnings record, or request an earnings record from Social Security. Be careful there. When you request an earnings record, a work history from Social Security, Social Security employees immediately think you need this for some other reason, and they will charge you for it. They will try to charge you for it, over $100 for like 2 pieces of paper. And that's because people that request work histories that are not part of a retirement or disability claim, they're requesting that for some type of job. You know, they're applying for the police force or something like that, and they need that work history. Social Security has determined that, hey, that's not our job to provide that, so we're going to charge you for it. So they have to pay for that. But it's program related. Use those words. This is program related. I never got the opportunity to check because I filed online, and I need to check to make sure my benefit amount is correct. So I want that work history. I want, I can't get online. I don't want to get online, whatever the case may be. I want to check to make sure my earnings are correct. So make sure that they better not charge you. Don't let them charge you. The only time they will charge you again is if you're needing it for some type of background check. Okay. Now, next, number 2, start date. Your MOE, month of entitlement. If you messed up, and a lot of people messed up earlier this year because they're freaking out about the new administration and the cuts and everything like that, which is understandable because we are going to be getting cuts if nothing is done in 88 more checks. So we get 87 more checks at your full check amount, but the 88th check is going to be cut by 23%. And a lot of people are saying, hey, I was going to wait until I was 67 or 70 or something like that. But if the benefits are going to be cut, I might as well just go ahead and, get my benefits now. So a lot of people made that decision because they believe Congress is not going to do anything. Like they haven't done anything in the last 40 years to shore up Social Security, and they don't think it's going to happen within the next 87 checks. But maybe you change your mind and you say, well, no, I shouldn't have filed. Again, you can fix that. Within 12 months, you can withdraw your application. So if you started your benefits within the last 12 months, retirement benefits, spouse benefits, survivor benefits, anything like that, you can withdraw that claim and say, no, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have filed. I want to withdraw the claim. You have to pay all the money back because when you withdraw the claim, it's like it never happened. So if it never happened, you should never receive that money, right? So you will get a withdrawal, but you have to pay all that money back. Once you pay all that money back, then it's like it never happened again. And then if you say, okay, all right, so now I'm starting fresh, and now I actually want to start this month rather than 12 months ago. And you can do that. I've had people do that. As soon as the check clears the bank and Social Security gets their money back, the people say, okay, is everything withdrawn? Yep, it's all withdrawn. Okay, I want to go ahead and file right now. No problem whatsoever. Or you can wait till next year or 2 years from now or whatever the case may be. So, all right, so that's another mistake people make that they can actually fix. Number 3 is making the mistake between what's called the annual earnings limit and the monthly earnings limit. The first year you start your Social Security benefits, you're limited to the amount of money you can make, but it can be switched to a monthly earnings limit the first year. Every year after that, it's the annual earnings limit. So this year it's $23,400. So let's say it's October, and let's say I'm an old Marine Corps sergeant, so I always, exaggerate for effect, as we used to say. Let's say you made $1 billion up until September, and you're saying, I want to start my benefits in October, but I already made $1 billion. Social Security doesn't care. When you file for benefits starting October, you just say, hey, I made $1 billion, but it doesn't matter because it was before I started my benefits. The only thing Social Security cares about is how much are you going to make starting this month, October, November, December. Are you going to be under $1,950? That's $23,400 divided by 12. Are you going to be under $1,950? So yes, I'm going to be under. I'm going to stop my work. I'm going to give up that $1 billion job. I'll stay under $1,950 for the rest of the year. Okay, cool. We can start your benefits starting October, no problem whatsoever. A lot of people are missing those benefits this time of the year because they say, I already made too much this year, so I can't start until January. I would really like to start my benefits this month, but I already made too much, and so I guess I can't. No, 100% incorrect. They can switch you to the monthly earnings limit. And then next year, yes, you can't do the monthly earnings limit twice. So next year you have to stay under the 23,400 or whatever it's going to be. Once they come out with the new numbers for COLA and the annual earnings limit and the substantial gainful activity and yada, 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 and all that stuff for 2026, I will do another video. So make sure you subscribe and like and share and all that kind of good stuff. So I'll give you all the inside scoop when that comes out. Okay. And remember, when all about working. So next year, the next year you have to stay under the annual earnings limit. Anything over that, Social Security will hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. So if you make $10,000 over, they're going to hold back $5,000 of the benefits. Let's say you make $2,000 a month. How do they hold back $5,000? They will hold back January, February, and March. And you're saying, Ed, that's $6,000. Yeah, they can't hold back partial checks. So if you're $5,000 over, they're going to hold back $5,000. January, $2,000, February, $2,000, the extra $1,000 there. So they're going to hold back March, which is $2,000. So they're going to hold back $6,000 of the benefits. And you're like, well, will I ever get that back? In a sense, once you hit your full retirement age, they will recalculate the benefits and unreduce your monthly benefit amount. Because if you take your benefits 30 months early, but then you work for 20 months and don't receive a check, then you only took your benefits for 10 months. So once you hit your full retirement age, they will look at that and they will recalculate and increase your benefits if your benefits were in suspense at any time during that time. So it's called the adjusted reduction factor. And remember, once you hit full retirement age, you can go back to making $1 billion a month and Social Security doesn't care. It doesn't affect your benefits negatively at all. If you're getting Medicare, you might have to pay some extra for your Medicare premium, but that's a whole different issue. And also the year you turn your full retirement age, Music Rocks the World. Hopefully somebody reached out to you in chapter. I told Ari to reach out to you. So hopefully you got a call today. Let me know if you didn't, please. All right. So where was I? I just noticed her name and she sent me an email and we want to make sure everybody's taken care of here. So the year you turn your full retirement age, there's a different limit. It's not $23,400 like it is this year. It's $62,160. So, and that's only the months before your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is in February, for January, you can make $62,160. Starting in February, you can go back to making $1 billion a month. And another strange thing is the year you turn your full retirement age, they'll hold back $1 for every $3 you go over, rather than $1 for every $2 you go over. So it's all confusing. That's why I do this live Q&A. So if you've got any specific questions, make sure you type them in the chat there. All right. Number 5, spouse and children. Here's another thing people mess up. I already talked about, we helped out, was it, I forget her name there, Nancy, yes. In terms of spouse benefits, some people forget to collect benefits on their spouses. They don't know they're eligible for benefits on their spouses, divorced spouses, independently entitled. Independently entitled divorced spouses, basically when you have an ex, but that ex hasn't filed for benefits yet, doesn't matter. As long as they're 62 years old, you were married to that person for 10 years, and you've been divorced for at least 2 years, then you can collect benefits on that person's record. A lot of people don't know that and are not receiving the benefits they're eligible for. So please share this information. So make sure you get your spouse benefits, current spouse, divorced spouse benefits. If you have any children under the age of 18 or any children that became disabled before the age of 22, they are eligible for benefits on your record. There's also a thing called child and care benefits. A lot of people don't know about. So if you have a child under the age of 16 or that became disabled before the age of 22, under 16, I said that correctly, under 16, then the other spouse can get what's called child and care benefits. It's another benefit they can get on your record. All right. So, and then there's also the fact that you can collect survivor benefits or retirement benefits on your own record. That's one of the things you can choose between the two. So, all right, here's another one a lot of people mess up with. I'm going through these really, really quickly. If you got any specific questions, make sure you type them in the chat or join me for a future Q&A. If you got any friends or family or relatives or anything like that have questions, tell them to come on and join us. And make sure you share, that way you can find us again. So another thing is rib-dib. A lot of people, they say, well, I really wanted to work longer, but I decided to go ahead and retire at 62 or 63 because my disability, I'm just hurting. I can't work any longer. So I'm just going to go ahead and file for retirement. What you should consider is filing for both at the same time. It's called a rib-dib. Rib is retirement insurance benefits. Disability is disability insurance benefits. And you're not going to get both. You're not going to get 2 full checks. What you will do is, the reason people do this is because to get approved for disability for a lot of times. Sometimes people get approved like the same day for disability, but often it takes 6 to 9 months if you're lucky. And people can't wait for 6 or 9 months to get a decision. So they go ahead and file for retirement benefits, start getting that money coming in so they can pay the rent and the mortgage while they're waiting for their disability claim to be approved. And why do you want disability instead of retirement? Because disability isn't reduced based on filing early. So if you file for retirement benefits at 62, your benefits are going to be reduced by 30%. If you're approved for disability at 62, you're going to get your full benefit amount. And Medicare. You will also get Medicare sooner because people that are on disability, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, get Medicare after being on disability for 24 months. Everybody else has to wait till 65. Okay, so number 7 is Medicare. Tons of mistakes on Medicare. Filing, getting Medicare, not getting Medicare, getting the wrong parts of Medicare, not getting protected across the board. Tons of mistakes there. If you've probably heard that Medicare is mandatory, correct, but it's not. Yeah. So if you're 65 and you don't have health insurance from work, yours or your spouse's, then yeah, you have to sign up for Medicare. If you don't, then there's that penalty. Rest of your life, you're going to get a penalty. For every 12 months you didn't sign up for Medicare, you get a 10% penalty, 10% of the premium for that particular month for the rest of your life. So if you're missed it for 3 years, 30% more every month. But if you do have health insurance from work, yours or your spouse's, your employer has 20 or more employees, then you do not have to get Medicare. You can get Medicare Part A since it's zero premium. A lot of people that have health insurance from work go ahead and get Part A. That way they get extra coverage, and it doesn't cost them anything. So I'd probably recommend that. But in terms of Part B, don't waste your $185. Too many people out there are wasting that $185 when they don't need Part B. And then later on, when you stop working, and you stop receiving health insurance from your work or your spouse's work 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, whatever the case may be, then you go ahead and sign up for Part B, and there's no penalty whatsoever. And speaking of Medicare, since we're in the season, next week is going to be the annual enrollment period. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, or if you have a Medicare supplement plan, you want to switch, good time to do it is October 15th through December 7th. But big mistakes people make is they don't get the best plan for them. So I made a little list of the 6 Ps. To make sure you get the best plan, make sure you have your current plan so you can compare it. If you have particular doctors or hospitals, make sure you have those names so you pick a plan that covers those. Your prescriptions, your dosage, be wary of like extended release versus tablets versus gels. They completely different prices sometimes on that stuff. It's crazy. So make sure you find the right prescriptions and save the money, as much as you can. If you have a particular pharmacy, you want to make sure you get that pharmacy that you like. If you have particular priorities, you have to have dental, you have to have vision, you have to have transportation. You want to make sure your 100% thing is, I don't care what happens, I just want to keep that doctor. Then have a list of your priorities. And then in terms of a Medicare Advantage plan, persistence. Once you enroll in a new plan for 2026, that's just day one. Now you got 364 other days to keep up on that Medicare Advantage plan and make sure you're getting everything from that plan. It's zero premium, but that's only because you paid for it for decades. So you paid forward for that plan. Make sure you get it. So you can reach out to our partners there at Chapter. They support this channel. They support this live Q&A. We'll have Ari next week on the kickoff for the annual enrollment period. He's going to be here on October 15th to go over everything as well and answer any questions. And your new plan will begin January 1st. So whatever you choose. So make sure you choose well. All right. And I always, even though I said this is 7 mistakes, I always throw in a bonus one. The bonus one is to reevaluate in terms of your Social Security. When you file for Social Security, at that particular time, situation might be, okay, you're not eligible for spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits or some other type of thing. A year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, you just might be. So reevaluate it. So what a lot of people miss is they say, okay, they filed for benefits at 62 and they check to see if they're eligible for any spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits. And it turns out at that particular time, they don't, because of the way the benefits are calculated. A year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, guess what? Now you are eligible for more money on that person's record because they earned more money, or usually it's because they passed away. And so you can file for benefits on that record. So there's way too many people out there walking around that are eligible for hundreds of dollars more, thousands of dollars more, that don't know because, well, I was told 10 years ago that I'm not eligible for benefits on that person's record. Yeah, at that time, because of the way the calculations are, but now you are. So please reach out to all your friends, family, and ask questions and say, hey, are you sure you're getting everything